There are some places on Earth that are so weird or dangerous, and some are even illegal to visit. So, not really the type of places that should be on your bucket list, yet some people still want to see them. These are the places that you should never go, but people went anyway. Ilha de Quinta Grande. One of the most dangerous places for people and birds to visit, this island might not be the island to visit for that tropical island holiday. I mean, it is a small island just off the coast of Brazil, so the climate might sound ideal for a wonderful holiday. The only little problem is the island's residents. This island isn't called Snake Island for nothing. It's packed full of Golden Lancehead pit vipers. And they are just as venomous as they sound. Their normal diet consists of birds, but because there are so many of these snakes on the island, it's super dangerous to visit. I mean, scientists estimate that there is one snake for every 10.8 square feet of land. There are loads of snakes, but they're endangered, and that's why everyone just leaves them in peace. That's another reason why the island is strictly off limits to the public, to keep humans safe from the very venomous snakes, but also to keep their species safe from humans. The island used to be connected to the mainland, but then rising water levels cut it off from the mainland. And eventually, when the lighthouse was automated, humans moved off of it. With all of those snakes on the island, there's no way that any human would actually visit the island out of free will, right? Except they do. There are some scientists that regularly visit the island to monitor how the snake populations are doing. Plutonium at Hieropolis. There have always been rumors about the dangers of Pluto's gate in Turkey. Ever since ancient times, people avoided the area because of the hidden dangers that could not be explained. Birds would fly over the area and would be attracted by the warm air, but then they'd suffocate almost immediately. It looked bad, and during the time that people couldn't explain it, it gave way to lots of superstitions surrounding the area. They believe that the toxic gas being emitted from the caves had to have come from Pluto, the god of the underworld. That led to animal sacrifices where they threw animals down into the cave after tying them with ropes. Then they could pull them back up after they'd been killed. Pretty horrible. Some priests in the area would also climb over the rocks while holding their breath, then act like they had supernatural powers. It was all very mysterious and all very scary. Then in the 1960s, we got some answers about why the area was so dangerous. Scientists found that CO2 was being emitted out of the caves, and at night, in the cooler temperatures, it would be heavier than air. So it was almost like a lake of CO2 that settled around the area. Dawn would be the most dangerous time, and then during the day, it would become safer. The safest way would be just to completely avoid the entire area. That just isn't how humans roll. Archaeologists have been exploring the area for years, and for them, the history that they can uncover is much more important than the dangers they face while working there. North Sentinel Island. This island technically falls under the authority of the Indian government, but it might not be the wisest decision to try and visit on your next trip. You see, the inhabitants of the island do not take kindly to strangers trying to enter into their bubble, and if you get killed, no one's going to prosecute your killers. Pretty much anyone who even tries to get close to the island does it at their own risk and really shouldn't be trying to visit there since the area is off limits. The island is inhabited by the Sentinelese, a group of indigenous people who really just want to be left alone by the outside world. They've been known to protect their island through any means necessary. They've attacked approaching vessels that try to get close to the island. This has led to the death of fishermen and most recently by a missionary who wanted to get to the island to preach to the inhabitants. The inhabitants have even shot arrows at helicopters flying over them. It all sounds seriously dangerous, and it makes sense that people are discouraged from going anywhere close to the island. And it isn't just for our own safety that people are forbidden from going to the island, it is for the inhabitants' safety too. Just think about it. They would have no immunity to the modern diseases that we have today. We have been vaccinated against deadly diseases, but they have no immunity. Still, that doesn't stop people from trying to go there every so often. It is one place on Earth that we really know nothing about. We don't even know how many people there are in the tribe and what their history really is about, and that is what people is fascinated about and trying to find out more. The Whites Club. This club in London is for sure a place where no one should ever be visiting anymore, and yet they still do. The club's archaic rules should have seen it close years ago. Still, some of the richest and most influential men in England still count among the members. It's the oldest gentlemen's club in London, and entry and membership is still very much kept to the elite men of the upper class of society in England. Yes, you heard that right. Not only do you need an ancestry that goes back to the aristocracy for generations, but they still have one very important rule that they will not change. Only men are allowed in the club. It's seriously mind-blowing that there is still a club that refuses women based on gender alone, but that's exactly what they do. It's really wild, and there have been a number of members who have taken their stand against these rules. David Cameron, for example, reportedly voluntarily gave up his membership in the club, because, as he stated, it was inexplicable to him that there is a club that still refuses women in this day and age. Some members leaving the club have shrunk the membership of it in recent years, but still, they refuse to grow with the times. They did allow Queen Elizabeth II to visit the club on 2 separate occasions, but when a group of women tried to gain entry, they were quickly removed. Bongar Fort. This 16th century fort in India is actually open to the public, so you can visit this place, but only after dawn or before sunset. Visiting the fort is strictly forbidden during the nighttime hours. When the sun goes down, people need to be out of there. There are loads of legends surrounding the place, and most of them are about ghosts or curses. It has even been declared officially haunted by the Indian government. Not really the place I want to be, even if the sun's actually shining. It was built by the ruler Amber Kushwaha for his son. People lived there for a while, but legends and rumors surrounding the fort can be traced back almost to the same time that people moved in. Residents of the fort finally abandoned it in 1783 after famine forced the last residents to go and find food in other places. To visit the fort at night, you need special permits that are very seldom issued. Chances are you'll need to check it out on a day if you're still keen to visit. It's been said that visiting the area in the dark is very dangerous because there are many nocturnal wild animals that could put you in danger. Animals like tigers that supposedly hunt in the area at night. And at the same time, there is no lighting in or surrounding the fort, so it'll be pitch dark when the sun goes down. Sure doesn't sound like a place I'd want to visit, but then when you add in the rumors, there's just no way I'm going anywhere near there. According to locals, there have been a few people who have tried to visit at night to see what's happening there in the dark. We're still left with questions, because rumors have it that all of those brave explorers that have tried to visit at night have disappeared without a trace. Vatican Secret Archives. This one actually sounds pretty interesting, and there are reportedly a lot of really cool documents that are kept in storage here. These documents are kept separate from the Vatican Library that scholars are allowed to access and study. This is the files that no one can touch and where most of us could never even think of ever accessing. There are letters where Henry VIII is asking for one of his marriages to be annulled, and the letter that Mary, Queen of the Scots, wrote just before she was executed. There are even letters from Michelangelo complaining that he was never paid for the work he did on the Sistine Chapel. And those are only the documents that we know about, but only people with special clearance to enter and touch these documents will ever know for sure what they include. Pavaglia, Italy. This little island has a history that is just plain creepy. It's been featured on many paranormal shows and has even been called one of the scariest places on Earth. It's off limits to visitors, partly because the government wants to make sure that the island's history stays preserved. But they're also keeping it off limits because of some of the weird stuff that's been rumored to happen there. The tiny island used to be a quarantine station for people with the plague. Most of them lost their lives there. Then it became a mental health hospital that was eventually shut down. It's said that as much as 50% of the island's soil is made out of human remains. Super creepy. And still people pay fishermen to sneak them onto the island. These are places that most people would never visit, but there are still people who go there. Thanks for watching.